Every day we take our electricity for granted. Every day we turn on lights, we use our computers, we put the electric heaters on, and we use our phones and we cook without even thinking about where the power we are using is coming from. Events like severe storms can last hours and sometimes days, and the power outage can go on for miles around us. My family live in Scotland and are currently experiencing 4 days of having no electricity. And with no electricity brings other issues such as no water, no heating, they can't cook. Now, my mum and my family up there are perfectly fine, they're all prepared, but some of my friends aren't. And it's got me thinking about what do we do here in London if we had a blackout. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to keep your family safe and comfortable during a blackout and how to be prepared. Do you have a survival bag or a blackout bag? Mention it in the comment below. I'll be really interested to know if anyone is prepared. Have you got that bag ready and what would you put in that bag? Because I'm going to share some of the ideas about things I think we should put into this survival bag, this blackout bag, but I'll be interested to know what yours are as well. So I suppose let's go with I need to be able to see first. So let's think about what kind of light source you're going to use. So probably I'm going to go for a battery powered torch first of all, but I might also put some candles in there. Now candles are great, but they're not probably the safest option if you've got pets and also children that are running around. I'm going to also use my head torch because a head torch allows you to have hands free, which means you can move around and do things as well, which are quite important. I've also got some solar lights in the garden that I can bring in, so when it's dark they will actually light up inside. I'm also going to pack a solar panel light lantern because a lantern provides light all around and it will light up the whole room, not just the one direction where you're pointing a torch. And there's quite a few different brands out there, but I'm going to put my favourite brand down in, well, I'll leave a link for it in the description below, just so you can have a look at it. Because the one I like is solar panelled, it's inflatable and it's really lightweight, so I can pack it away in my box or bag, whatever I'm going to choose from. It's called a Luminaid inflatable solar lantern, so I'll leave that link for you below. So now I can see, I'm now going to go around and make sure I turn off all my appliances, your TVs, your music systems, everything, because actually when the power starts surging or spiking, it can damage your appliances. So always make sure you turn off all the mains. I learned as well from the last energy crisis, or the last crisis we had here in London, which is a fuel crisis, to make sure my car is always fueled up. And that's quite important during a blackout because some petrol stations might not be able to pump the fuel up if they've got no power. And as well as that, my car has USB ports I can use to charge my phones, and also it's a source of heat, so I can keep nice and warm if I was really struggling with the cold in the house. Now, no power can mean no heating. Now, do you have an alternative source of heat? My mum, thankfully up in Scotland, had a wood burner, and I actually have a wood burner here in London as well. But I haven't actually got wood prepared. So that's one thing I'm going to make sure that I definitely have in my blackout bag is quite a lot of heat logs, or wood as well in my shed to make sure I'm all prepared. Now, not everyone is going to have a wood burner. You might live in a flat, for example, and you haven't got access to a wood burner or can't even get one fitted. So maybe these hand warmers ones where you click and they become instantly hot, they're a really good idea because they actually last for 12 hours and can give you personal heat. I'll give you the link below where you can actually buy a whole box of them because you just never know how many days you're going to be out of power for and therefore out of heat. You might also want to use a hot water bottle. So if you've got a way of heating water up, hot water bottle will be great, especially to cuddle up to at night time. Then maybe think about how you're going to communicate with the outside world, as in how are you going to find out what's happening. So a battery powered radio is great for finding out about news alerts to see what's actually happening around, and also maybe for entertainment as well, just to break that silence. There's lots of different types of portable radios. I'd probably prefer one that would do solar panel and batteries. As I said before, then you've got the backup of having both. I'll share the link below of one of my favourite ones I quite like. It's good because it's got USB ports on there as well. Now we've talked a little bit about mobile phones, but make sure your mobile phone is fully charged because you need to keep it on for emergencies. And if you do have a landline, thankfully my mum did have a landline, But she managed to communicate with myself and other people to find out what's happening through her landline, because she's got one of those old phones, you know, the ones with the dials, things on there, that's not actually reliant on electricity. Whereas quite a lot of people, if we did have a landline, it will tend to be plugged into the power source as well. So make sure you have an old style phone, cheap one that you can just plug in, that you can actually be able to communicate with the outside world, just in case a mobile phone masts are down. Now the biggest issue my mum has, well, she lives in the middle of nowhere. She has a well with her own water source, which you think is amazing, but that relies on an electric pump to pump the water up to the house. And of course here in London, we might think, oh, we don't need to worry about that, there's always water. But if there is a complete blackout, those pumping stations won't be able to pump water to our houses, because they need electricity to do that as well. So we need to think about making sure we've got enough water in the house to be able to flush toilets for our personal hygiene. And it's always recommended to have about 5 litres per person, including pets, per day of water in the house. Which is great if it's a planned outage, because maybe you can fill the bathtub up, you can fill loads of buckets up, you can prepare. But if it's not planned, you need to make sure you have a backup source of water, just in case. And then food, you need to eat. So have some food that you can use. Tin food's great because it will store for a lot longer. You know, you don't particularly want to keep opening the fridge to have a look what's in there, because the fridge food is only going to last for 4 hours, which is not going to be great if you're going to have a power outage for days or days. The freezer food will last a little bit longer. Freezer food probably around about 48 hours, especially if it's filled with ice around it. You can actually make your own ice, and just by putting water into freezer bags and putting them into the freezer, because the more ice in the freezer, the longer the food in there will last for. And then now you've got food, whether it's a tin food, packet food, or maybe you've opened the fridge, is how you're going to eat it. What are you going to cook it on? You know, can you cook on the wood burner? Do you have an oil stove? Or maybe, like my mum, you've got a little gas camping stove that you can just sit outside and boil the kettle on, that you can sit and have some food with. So always make sure you've got some kind of alternative way to cook food, because we're so reliant on electricity, aren't we, nowadays? And then I suppose 2 more things. One will be thinking about personal hygiene. You know, have you got hand sanitizer to keep your hands washed? Have you got a way of washing yourself? You know, wipes would be really useful. And then lastly, think about how you're going to entertain yourself. You know, hours without electricity or days without electricity can be a little bit tedious. So maybe have some board games, have activities for the children, card games, things you can do to entertain yourself. But the point of this video is just to make sure you're prepared. Be prepared. You know, what are you going to put in your blackout bag? What are you going to put in there? How are you going to be prepared? Are you going to do anything differently? Be interested to know. Please just leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell as well. And thanks guys, take care and keep safe, keep well.